All right, welcome back. This is a short little update, just fixing some things with our landscape, a couple of minor mistakes I made, and also we're going to add in a visibility mask so that we can create openings in the landscape to build underground structures. I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, now what I want to do is clean up this landscape material a little bit. I realized that I made kind of a mistake in setting it up. I got the rock and the grass backwards in the material instance. So let's fix that first. Well, actually, I got the back in the material as the default, so we can change that later. But we can change them here in the material instance. We just have to find the correct one. I call this texture. Figure out which one is which. Ground grass D and ground grass N. They're all showing as the defaults. All grass, it looks like. Ground grass basalt. So this one here, actually the basalt one needs to be the grass. And this is the gravel, grass, gravel, grass, gravel, grass, basalt. So this needs to change to the grass texture. So let's change that. Grass D, and this needs to change to the grass N. And then the grass D needs to become the basalt. D. And the grass N needs to become the basalt N. And now we can save this and go back to our ground. And now we have grass down here on the flat areas and up where things are level, and we have lots and lots and lots of rock. Now we can adjust that, and we can adjust that in here by finding these parameters. And we probably want the rock on a little bit steeper portion. So we can pull this down a little so it'll appear in steeper areas. And we can let the grass go a little bit more in slightly sloped areas. So now we can tweak this so it comes out a little bit nicer. And that's looking a lot better with combinations of dirt and rock and grass. So let's take a look at that now. I'll explain something about this material instance. You know how we had all that whenever we modified the shader, modified the material rather, it had to recompile shaders, but you notice we just modified the material instance and it did not. That's because the material instance is really just inputs to the shaders that are generated by the material. So it's really a good idea to create these material instances with all the things you want to adjust, because then you can very easily adjust them inside the game. Let's take a look at it in play mode now and see how things look. I'll expand this a little bit. And we now have grass down here in the level areas going up to some gravel, and then up the very steep areas are rock, and it looks like they're so steep we can't even climb the rock areas very easily, if at all. I don't have a jump command in. I managed to jump that, but I can't climb up that. But it seems I can climb where there's gravel. So it looks like we've got a good slope set there. Most of the time I can climb where there's gravel or grass, so I can still get up on things. And it looks a lot nicer now. A little more appropriate with lots of basalt showing through. Now we can change that basalt out. I'm not entirely convinced that basalt is what we want. I don't know that this is a volcanic region. It could be. I mean, basalt is an interesting looking texture. If we go down here and look at it up close, we see it's pretty interesting. It certainly looks different. So now what I want to do is take a look at being able to carve some holes in this texture so we can put underground structures, like if we want to have a base or something that the character needs to go into. Maybe that's a home base also for the character. It could be an underground structure, and there could be a tunnel going in here. And the way we can do that is by creating a special adding to the material. So we'll do that next, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at making some modifications to our material here so that we can create what are called visibility masks in the landscape. What a visibility mask does is it allows you to literally cut holes in the landscape that the character can pass through. And that can create, then you can create tunnels and underground works or whole other sets down underneath the landscape. So to do that, the first thing we need to do is come over here and click on the main output node here and look at its properties, details over here. Under details, we want to set the blend mode to masked. Now normally we would come in here and there would be a another place for us to put something in, but we don't have that, and we have this function, however, over here. But in reality, and while I originally thought about applying it to that function, it's really an inappropriate place for that function. This is our texture scale function. What we really want to do is just go ahead and create another function just like we did before to break that out, or we could break it out here. The problem is if we break it out here, then we have to feed everything in. So what I'm going to do is create another function, and I'll come in here to materials and textures and material function, and we're going to call this visibility. We're going to call it landscape visibility mask underscore MF for material function. We'll open this up, and we'll still do the make material attributes here so that we get all the material attributes through this. Okay, so what we want to do with this function is create an input, and on this input come down here and change it over to material attributes input. And then we want to bring this out and enter break material attributes. Now this is going to be a little bit tedious. We want to bring them all across so that this is a complete piece. So I'm going to bring these all across, and I'll go down and do that. But what we're mostly interested in here is this one called opacity mask. So what we want to type in here is landscape visibility mask. And we want to send this landscape visibility mask into this opacity mask input. And the rest of these we want to hook up. And for in, we're going to call this material attributes. We'll hit apply. We'll go back to our open world material. We'll go back to here and we'll get our landscape visibility. We'll bring it up here and go to our material. Drop this in. And now you see we've got a place here we can hook up material attributes to, and we can bring them out here. And now our landscape is set up to be masked, and we have the opacity mask going into it from this function. And this function, all it does is apply that particular visibility mask to that output. Otherwise it passes all the other material attributes straight through. So this little break out and break back in like this is how we do that, or how it can be done. So now we are clearly going to end up compiling some shaders. Of course we are. So I will pause the video and I'll be back when the shaders are done compiling. Okay, our shaders are done. Now we can come down here and we can go into sculpt mode, and with this sculpt tool we can come down here and select visibility. And this is the first time I've used this, so it may need to compile again, and it does, of course. I always forget that. I should have done that before I started the recording. I'll be back in a second. Okay, the shaders are all compiled up now, so we could go to a spot like right here, and we can carve out an opening. And if we play, that's an actual opening in the landscape. Of course, we would have something behind it, but you can actually fall through it. And of course, all you have to do to close it up is to shift, do this. And we find that in the sculpting, and we set it to visibility and just paint on it, and you can paint an opening. So then we can build structures, and we'll build some caves and other stuff to put in here. So we're looking pretty nice. I still have not painted the entire landscape, so I guess I can do that. We can go over here to paint mode and make sure that this first one here, the auto, is selected, and we'll make our brush a lot bigger. There it is. And we'll just paint this auto on here, and I'll make sure this is all done before the next videos. So thanks for watching this little update, and I'll see you in another video. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. We fixed up a few things, and it's looking a lot nicer. And I want to point out too that these material instances, they're very important. We're going to use the same material instance we just created in the next video, doing another landscape and setting it up with an entirely different look, using the same exact material that we just created, but using a material instance. So I look forward to seeing you in that next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get notifications when I upload videos, hit the notify button. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.